The moment Daniel stepped into the grand lobby of the Stanley Hotel, he felt it, a creeping unease that slithered down his spine. The historic Colorado Hotel, famous for inspiring The Shining, loomed around him with its polished wood and antique chandeliers. The air smelled faintly of aged whiskey and something else, something old. The clerk handed him a brass key for room 217, the most haunted room in the building. "Enjoy your stay," she said, a little too quickly. At first, everything seemed normal. Daniel unpacked, snapping a few photos of the vintage furnishings. But as night fell, the room grew colder. The thermostat read 72 degrees Fahrenheit, yet his breath misted in the air. Then, the knocking started. 3 sharp raps on the bathroom door, empty when he checked. His camera, set up to record, captured the door handle turning by itself. The footage showed something else, too, a shadowy figure standing behind him, its head tilted as if watching. At 3:33 a.m., Daniel jolted awake to the sound of a woman humming. The melody was soft, mournful, a lullaby from another era. His phone, left charging on the nightstand, suddenly died. The room plunged into darkness. When the lights flickered back on, the closet door stood open. Inside, a vintage suitcase lay unpacked, its contents strewn across the floor, a woman's dress, a ticket stub from 1911, and a single pearl earring. The next morning, Daniel reviewed his footage. There, in the corner of the screen, a pale face peered out from the closet. A face that wasn't there when he looked. The hotel staff refused to speak of it. But the truth was in the records. In 1911, a maid named Elizabeth Wilson died in room 217 after a gas leak explosion. She was said to still tidy up for guests. Daniel checked out that morning. But his video? It had already been shared 1,000,000 times. Because the ghost of room 217 didn't just visit. She never left. The moment Sarah checked into room 218 at the historic Crescent Hotel, she noticed something odd. The scent of lavender and ammonia hung in the air, like an old-fashioned cleaning solution. The front desk clerk had mentioned nothing about turn-down service, yet when she returned from dinner, her bed was perfectly made with mint chocolates on the pillow. At 2:47 a.m., Sarah awoke to the sound of rustling fabric. The antique vanity chair was moving on its own, its legs scraping against the hardwood floor. The mirror reflected an empty room, until a pale hand suddenly appeared, straightening the hairbrush on the dresser. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as the temperature dropped sharply. Frost patterns blossomed across the mirror, forming words, "Your stay will be short." Security footage from the hallway would later show Sarah's door opening and closing by itself 3 times that night. The motion-activated camera she'd placed on the nightstand captured something far more chilling, the silhouette of a woman in an old-fashioned maid's uniform tucking in the blankets at the foot of the bed, while Sarah still lay in it. The next morning, housekeeping denied entering her room. But when Sarah checked her suitcase, she found all her clothes neatly folded, including items she'd left crumpled in a heap. A single black and white photograph had appeared among her belongings, a young maid standing in front of the hotel circa 1920, her face scratched out. Research revealed the tragic story. A maid named Gloria had died in the hotel during the 1920s, falling down the service elevator shaft while working the night shift. Guests in room 218 often reported missing items being returned perfectly cleaned, sometimes years after their stay. Sarah checked out immediately, but couldn't shake the feeling something had followed her home. Because that night, her home security camera detected motion in her bedroom at 2:47 a.m., capturing the faint image of a woman in an old maid's uniform, standing watch at the foot of her bed, just like in the hotel. The newlyweds laughed as they entered Suite 801 of the Grand Belmont Hotel, champagne in hand. The luxurious room with its canopy bed and rose-petal decoration seemed perfect, until Emily noticed the vintage wedding portrait on the nightstand. "We don't do turn-down service with photos," the bellhop said, pocketing his tip quickly. At 3:33 a.m., James awoke to the sound of weeping. The portrait now sat on Emily's pillow, the glass cracked down the middle. The temperature plummeted as frost crawled across the mirrors, forming two words, "Leave now." The motion-activated camera captured every terrifying moment, the closet doors bursting open, Emily's wedding veil floating midair as if worn by an invisible bride, the antique music box playing a distorted version of "Here Comes the Bride," despite being broken for decades. Security footage showed Emily sleepwalking to the elevator at 4:17 a.m., mumbling about attending the ceremony. When James pulled her back, 5 icy fingerprints appeared on her wrist. The honeymoon photo album they'd left on the dresser now contained new pages, black and white images of a 1920s wedding party, the bride's face scratched out in every shot. Hotel records revealed the tragic story. In 1926, a bride named Charlotte threw herself from their balcony after being jilted at the altar. Her spirit was known to haunt the honeymoon suite, particularly when love was present. The couple fled at dawn, but the haunting followed. Their wedding video contained 3 extra seconds of footage, a pale woman in a rotting wedding dress standing behind them, mouthing the words, "Till death do us part." Business traveler Mark Dalton pressed the button for the 14th floor of the historic Blackwood Tower, unaware the building only had 13 floors. The elevator shuddered upward past the penthouse. When the doors opened, he faced a dimly lit hallway straight from the 1940s, peeling wallpaper, flickering sconces, and the distant sound of a jazz record skipping. His phone displayed NO service as the elevator doors slammed shut behind him. Room 1407's keycard worked inexplicably. Inside, Mark found a perfectly preserved hotel suite frozen in time. A half-packed suitcase lay open on the bed containing 1948 newspapers and a train ticket to Chicago. The bathroom faucet ran rust-colored water. At 3:17 a.m., the vintage radio turned on by itself, broadcasting a news bulletin about a hotel fire, dated October 14, 1947. The temperature dropped as shadowy figures appeared in the mirror, men in fedoras and women in flapper dresses rushing past behind him. Security footage from the lobby would later show Mark's elevator never stopped between floors. Yet his camera captured him wandering the phantom hallway for 47 minutes, time he only experienced as 7 minutes. The most chilling frame showed a burned hand pressing against the inside of the elevator doors as they closed. Hotel archives revealed the terrible truth. On October 14, 1947, a fire had destroyed the uncompleted 14th floor, killing 14 workers. Their names appeared one by one in the condensation on Mark's bathroom mirror the morning after his stay. Mark escaped at dawn. But back home, his digital clock now changes to 3:17 a.m. every night. And sometimes, he hears jazz music playing from rooms that don't exist. The storm raged outside the isolated Cliffside Inn as receptionist Hannah reviewed the guest register one final time. Room 9 was vacant, or should have been. Yet the key was missing, and faint piano music drifted from down the hall. Security monitors showed the empty lounge piano playing itself, dusty keys depressing under invisible fingers. The melody? Heart and Soul, the same tune staff reported hearing the night Mr. Wilkins died in that room 40 years ago. Hannah's blood turned to ice when the antique guest book flipped open by itself. Fresh ink appeared on the page, Charles Wilkins, Room 9, checking out tonight, in perfect 1970s cursive. The lobby lights dimmed as Room 9's door creaked open down the hall. The security footage told the impossible story. The room's bedside lamp turned on at 11:47 p.m. The bathroom faucet ran. The vintage television switched between static channels. All while the thermal cameras showed no living presence. At midnight, the piano stopped mid-chord. The monitors captured Hannah's scream as Room 9's door slammed shut with enough force to shake the front desk. When she forced herself to check, the room was spotless, bed made, towels folded, and a single item on the nightstand, a 1973 pocket watch, its hands frozen at 12:07. The morning manager found Hannah pale but unharmed. Together they discovered the final entry in the guest book had changed again, now reading, Charles Wilkins, Room 9, checked out 12:07 a.m. That night's security footage contained one extra frame the cameras shouldn't have captured, a smiling elderly man tipping his hat to the front desk before walking through the lobby doors, directly into the raging storm.